residents to services, breaking cycles of violence, and de-escalating situations before they erupt into violence. I witnessed the work of the community violence interrupters in October when gunshots rang out blocks away during my press conference in Dutchtown. Interrupters on the scene jumped to action to determine the source of the shots. And I've allocated more than $5 million for community violence interruption programs to expand into more St. Louis neighborhoods through the American Rescue Plan. While no final decision has been made on the expansion locations and specific programming, we are exploring all of our options. This investment earned us a spot on the White House's Community Violence Intervention Collaborative, which works with 15 or 16 municipalities across the country to strengthen our violence prevention efforts. By taking a holistic view of public safety, focusing on deterrence, intervention, and prevention, while addressing the root causes of crime, we're taking innovative approaches to old problems. I'm happy to be joined here by Dr. Dan Isom, Director of Public Safety. He'll give a rundown on the notable statistics of cure violence work in our neighborhoods. And I'm also glad to welcome the Urban League and Employment Connection, as well as on-the-ground violence interrupters, who can talk more about what it's like doing this important work. Dr. Isom.
Thank you, Mayor. It's happy to be here today to talk to you about this important initiative. Cure Violence works to prevent gun violence by detecting and interrupting conflicts, changing behavior, and changing social norms. Here are some data points to give you an idea of how we are doing in these areas. First, I want to talk about detecting and interrupting conflicts. Cure Violence is a data-driven model that uses statistical information and street-level knowledge to help identify where to concentrate efforts, focus resources, and intervene in violence. CV staff at the Wells Goodfellow Hamilton Heights catchment area site have engaged in 376 conflict interruptions since the beginning of the program. CV staff at the Dutchtown catchment area site have engaged in 168 conflict interruptions since the beginning of the program, and CV staff at the Walnut Park catchment area site have engaged in 58 conflict interruptions year to date. The other area we want to focus on is behavioral change. CV has interceded in disputes to prevent violent events. CV staff counsels clients and mediates conflicts and connects residents to services. The CV staff at the Wells Goodfellow Hamilton Heights catchment area have a case management caseload of 41 high-risk individuals. The CV staff at the Dutchtown catchment area site have a caseload of 35 high-risk individuals, and the CV staff at the Walnut Park catchment area site have a case management load of 31 high-risk individuals. The last area is changing social norms. The CV staff are working to change how residents think about violence through public education and community building activities. The CV staff at all three sites in the city have been distributing COVID-19 PPE in those areas. Also, during December, the CV staff at Wells Goodfellow and Hamilton Heights catchment area sites have hosted 3 community events. The Dutchtown CV staff have hosted 5 community events in December. And during December, the CV Walnut Park staff, the Winter Wonderland effort resulted in 17 residents being afforded employment on the spot and 4 referred for jobs. Staff working with community stakeholders to get more than 300 children toys, hats, and gloves. And there has been canvassing efforts that resulted in 450 public education materials related to job fairs, community events, COVID-19 PPE distribution. So the work of Cure Violence is both working with individuals and communities and doing an outstanding job.
Thank you, Dr. Isom. Next, I will turn it over to Dr. Teferi from the Urban League. Dr. Teferi, you're muted.
Thank you for reminding me after being on a Zoom every day. Well, first of all, I'm honored to be here alongside the mayor, representing the Walnut Park Urban League. I think I want to put it in perspective before we even start. The violent crime in St. Louis has been around for decades, as we all know. And the accomplishments that we just heard from Dr. Isom and Mayor Jones really took place in a very short period, considering the depth of the violent crime that has been here for many years, especially when you consider the timing. The timing with a double jeopardy. We're fighting the pandemic and violence at the same time in St. Louis. That is not easy. All this run under the health department. So considering all of that, the Cure Violence at Walnut Park under the Urban League started in August of 2020. So that is not a long time ago. That is not a long time ago. I think what also needs to be considered is the contract with the health department. After signing the contract, preparation to begin a program is always harder. So from this point on, things should roll faster. But at the beginning, we had to lease a building on site because the contract, the global methodology requires that we work from the community. So we had to find a place, look for a lease, and work out all the details. That takes time to begin. So 2020 was just like yesterday. But after doing all of that, after hiring the people, training the people to accomplish this much work, I think to me is really unbelievable. It's a very short period of time considering all of that. Part of the success really came from following the Cure Violence methodology, the global methodology. The global methodology, we follow it very closely. We did follow it right from the beginning, although hiring the staff is very important. They're from the community. And I know we have Juan Williams here as one of our interrupters who will say something about it. But hiring them is very important, hiring the right people to change their community, know the community very well, but having continuous training and data input is a lot more important for us to follow up. So our interrupters, our outreach workers are out on the street working. How do you keep track is the question that we're getting most of the time. How do you keep track on what they're doing? The global violence has a data system that they have to enter every activity that they do on the street. Everything they do, they have to take an hour or so to enter their data, how many people they connected with, what they've done, and so forth. So that helps us a lot to administer what's working, what's not working. So that really, this changed the whole thing. The data system is, I attributed to the data system itself because that gave us the opportunity to change the narrative, to change the discussion based on metrics, based on data, rather on philosophical discussion. So we don't have a philosophical discussion on this. What have you done? What have you accomplished? What's the impact is our discussion. So I think that has a lot to do with some of the successes that we've learned. So we have to report to the health department, the quantitative and qualitative data on a monthly basis. Discussions are ongoing with the steering committee, with the health department, and with each other, with the employment connection and so forth. Where are we? What are we doing? What do we need to do? The key thing is, and also public safety, Dr. Isom. The key thing here is creating strategies. You can't use the same strategy on a daily basis. So they meet and they discuss, they look at the community, they take the pulse reading. If it is not working well, they have to come up with a new strategy. So changing the strategy, coming up with new strategies consistently is very, very important. And that seems to help us to keep up with it. So I don't want to take too long this morning, but the numbers that you've heard, 58 interruptions is really huge for us, for a small neighborhood. 58 interruptions are this, 58 of them could have been dead if they were not interrupted. That's how we look at it. So I wanted to thank the violent interrupters, the outreach workers for reaching out to the community, canvassing the community, and we should be able to see much better results moving forward because we don't have to lease a building, we don't have to train the people and so forth and so forth. So with that, I want to leave you with the slogan that the team came up with. Imagine a city without violence. Together we can. And that is exactly what they say to the community on a daily basis. Imagine a city without a violence. I want to leave you with that. Thank you. Thank you for including us.
Thank you, Dr. Teferi. Next, I'll turn it over to Sal Martinez from Employment Connection.
Good morning, everyone. Good to be here. First of all, I want to thank Mayor Jones and her tremendous team for supporting Employment Connections management of our 2 cure violence offices. One is in Wells Goodfellow, Hamilton Heights, and the other one is in Dutchtown. We opened up the Wells Goodfellow, Hamilton Heights site last June. And as Dr. Issa mentioned, our team has created 376 de-escalation sessions in that community. And I'm so proud of them for the work that they do. One of our wonderful violence interrupters, Mujah Williams, is here with us today. These staff persons see guns almost every day while they are in the community. A story I have, several months ago, I was out with the Wells Goodfellow Hamilton Heights team passing out public education materials, and several individuals who didn't know me because I'm not from that community approached me with firearms, drawn, AR-15s, AK-47s, 9mm Glocks. And this is what our team sees in the community while they are doing this work. They're not in the office 80, 90% of the time working on their computers. They're in the community. They're in the hot spots. They're in the areas where people are committing illegal activities, risking their lives to make the community a safer place. And so I'm just here to thank, as Dr. Ferry said, our site managers, our outreach supervisors, our violence interrupters, our outreach workers. My job is to support them in every way that I can. And they have partners here at Employment Connection that work with them to help change the social norms of the high-risk clients they work with. Already, in both of our catchment areas, we provided self-sufficiency training, which has led to us being able to place these individuals into full-time employment. We provided we provided eviction prevention assistance for several of these clients. We have found housing for several of the clients who were unhoused at the time that our violence interrupters and outreach workers met them and developed a credible relationship with them. And that's what's really key here. Our staff of Cure Violence interrupters and outreach workers work very hard to form credible relationships with individuals who are very, very dangerous as far as how they live their lives. And because of that, they're able to transfer them to their counterparts here at Employment Connection who can help them change their lives. So we're very happy to be a part of this program. I do have to give a big thanks to our partners at Cure Violence Global. As Dr. Ferry said, they have provided us with 24-hour support, training, technical assistance to teach us how to implement this program successfully in the city of St. Louis. So Juan, Mujah, I love you guys. Continue to do the great work that you're doing. And we will continue to make this city a better place for us all to live and work. Thank you.
Thank you, Sal. Next, I will introduce Mujah Williams from Dutchtown Cured Violence.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, panel. My name is Mujah. Obviously, I represent the Dutchtown site. And I want to go back on the interruptions. To date, we have 168 interruptions in the Dutchtown area. combined sites, Wells Goodfellow and the Walnut Park, we have a total of 602 interruptions. And our estimation, this right here is huge, in that these could have resulted into over 602 incidents. And the eruption of those incidents could have expanded throughout the city. So our mission on all 3 sites, we have been given 10 block areas to canvass or to try to make sure that we keep down violent incidents. And this mission right here has been challenging, but we are up for the challenge. In our catchment in Dutchtown, we have virtually contained the area where we don't have any incidents, period. Now the incidents have really went to the borders of our catchment. So we no longer just patrol our catchment, we go outside of our catchment now, because we don't have anything really to really engage in within our catchment. And I want to, make a more finer point, because I don't want to, take up too much time. Some of our methods that we go block to block and we engage the community and we build relationships with individuals, particularly high-risk individuals. And we try to mentor these individuals. And after mentoring them, we keep a tab on them. As Dr. Ferry said, we have a database, it's called ComCare. So we go in ComCare and we monitor the progress of every individual that we contact. And if they need resources, we have resources in the Employment Connection partnership that we have. And most of the individuals that we encounter, we're able to pass them up to Employment Connection, where they enter into what we call a WOW program, a World of Work program. And this right here is very instrumental and important for for our mission in Dutchtown. I want to make a more finer point so you can get an idea of what we do. How we try to change the social norms in these environments is that once we identify high crime environments, we basically, insert ourselves in those environments. We try to find an inroad in those environments. And one of the ways that we have basically built relationships in those environments, we have what you call night block parties. So let's say on Itasca, Virginia, it's a high crime area, murders, shootings, day in and day out, but they also have a lot of families in those environments. So we host a block party maybe between the hours, maybe like 5 to maybe 8 o'clock at night. And we bring out all the kids, we bring out music. Most of y'all are familiar that's on this panel that interact with Dutchtown. We have Prospect, he's one of our DJs. And we go inside the neighborhood and we basically, bring the children out and we try to create that degree of normalcy again, where they can get in the middle of the street, they can play, where we trying to replicate an environment that has been lost. And something happened during one of these block parties. Some of the guys came through and they waving up out of the window, up out of the sunroof, they waving AR-15s and other, machine guns. And the kids started scrambling, running back in the house. The music virtually stopped. And so the guys came around again, they stopped. And I basically approached these guys in the car. They had weapons all in the car. It was 4 guys in the car. And I asked them, I had said, why would, if we are out here trying to change the narrative, trying to bring back a degree of normalcy, of calm in the environment, why would you deliberately come and upset that? You see kids out here, this is your neighborhood. So we try to get these youngsters to have an interest in their neighborhood, to say, okay, well, it's not cool to perpetuate crime. We ask them a fundamental question. Are these neighborhoods worth saving? And for the most part, the feedback we receive is that that they are worth saving. So this is our mission right here, to try to save these communities and to try to expand this program. And again, we understand the challenges the mayor face, and we are out here doing the work, Mayor. And we will continue to try to give, meaning to this model, this pure violence model throughout the city. We don't just operate in Dutchtown, we operate citywide. Wherever crime surfaces, because we know crime, is citywide. We try to offer at least our input to be a part of that discussion with these young guys. So we have forged relationships with groups from downtown, the north side, Walnut Park, out the Dub, off 20th, and West Florissant. So whenever something happened, most of us receive phone calls and we try to interrupt or intervene in those conflicts. And for the most part, we have been successful. you have to have credibility amongst these guys. You can't go with no generic statements. Hey guys, stop doing X, Y, and Z. You have to come from that type of, background. And we are like the last line for these guys before the police come in with their cavalry. So we tell them, if you don't listen to us, they have some places for you. They have the federal penitentiaries for you, have state penitentiaries for you. So we try to make sure that we explain to them what's at stake here, what's at stake. It's not just you out here doing this right here. It's a consequence behind it. And once that consequence arrives, don't start crying now. So our mission right here in the city of St. Louis is vitally important. I want to pass it on to Juan, or whoever can pass it on to Juan so he can explain what's going on over there. But our sites work hand in hand. And we're going to make sure that we get this program some teeth in the city right here. We're not just sitting in the office, as Sal said. This is a legitimate program. The city of St. Louis needs this program. And we're going to try to really reinvent, our mission, for us, like how we approach crime. If our approach doesn't work, we're going to shift. And we're going to make, this program right here a serious model, not just for St. Louis, but for the entire nation. And again, we thank you, Mayor, for having this right here for us this morning. Thank you.
All right, Juan, I'll turn it over to you. Juan Williams from Walnut Park Secure.
Good morning, everybody. How you doing? I'm Juan Williams. I'm a violence interrupter for Walnut Park. My number one thing is going out here. First of all, I'm gonna start with I'm a native of Walnut Park, so it's kind of relatively easier for me. And they listen to me more because I've done the stuff with them back in the days or been involved with them on some type of level. So that kind of make me a subject matter expert when it comes to dealing with these guys or going over there and having conversations and stand in front of people and stand in front of the problems. A lot of rumors and stuff, like when I heard, I go straight to it. We not when they let it boil up or go to a next level or nothing or anything like that. And dealing with the community, a lot of people need to be listened to. When we go dealing with these guys, they probably put this image on like they're this person or this person, but after you sit back and listen to them, you see the help that you need, that they need, and we do have the resource to provide it. We help them out, and some of the stuff, like most of the problems, really like work themselves out. When it comes to mediating situations, you have to take different people have different approaches. Me, personally, I could go into the neighborhoods because I grew up around her. I know 90% of the people around her. So just going through her and having simple conversations, creating credibility, giving the next person a chance to stand down while the next part, we're not trying to glorify any type of, try to glorify any type of violence, anything of that nature. It's a hard job to do, but if you place the right people in the right positions, I feel like it'll be a big step for the whole city. Like Muja said, we just don't do it in Walnut Park. Our area is pretty much contained. It'd be the outside border area that's around. And I mean, my main approach is to like just stay in these people's face. I stay in their face. I'm always around. I pull through the neighborhoods. Now I got kids just come up to me and be like, "Oh, that's the masked man." I mean, that ain't my name, but I accept it. But anything to get them to build conversations with me, start a conversation with me, get there. If I can get you or I can get your grandma, I reached out to a lot of elders. Like my granny got full control. She called one of her grandsons to stop. There ain't no granny, no, this happened, none of it. It stopped, cease. So I reach out to a lot of elders in the neighborhood. I try to get with the youth. We also got the gym open at Wallbridge for open gym. That's how we get with a lot of the youth. They come up there for open gym. We ask the younger fellas that can get jobs, or they need jobs, younger women too. Also partner with Community of Hope. just deal with younger women. And we send a lot of women to them. And
All right, thank you, Juan. Did you have anything further?
no, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so that was our list of speakers. We're now going to open the floor for questions. We have about 5 minutes, so feel free to unmute and please state who you're directing your question to. Thank you.
Hi, this is Ryan Henson with Channel 5, and I guess I will direct this one towards some of our city leaders, so Mayor Jones or Chief Isom. And, you know, before I say this, I don't want to disrespect anybody's hard work or anything, because you guys have been boots on the ground doing a great job. But so according to an UMSL professor, crime spiked in 2020 due to pandemic factors, you know, unemployment issues, lockdown stress, etc. And, you know, in addition to that, there's a lot of civil unrest. It was an election year, things like that. But violent crime stats have kind of returned back to pre-pandemic levels in 2021. How confident are you guys that crime can take another large dip this year in 2022?
Well, thank you, Ryan, for that question. As you know, as we've been talking about this since the beginning of the year, one life lost to gun violence is one too many, and it's going to take an all hands on deck approach in order to see a continue to on this path that we're on. We're focused on deterrence, intervention, and prevention, and cure violence is a key piece of that, but it's not the only piece. It's also some of the work that's being done in the police department under the leadership of Chief Hayden, along with Dr. Isom, with our deployment strategies. So it's not just, cure violence isn't a silver bullet. It was never built to be a silver bullet, but it is one piece of a larger holistic strategy to address violent crime and to intervene where necessary, to deter people when applicable, and to prevent whenever we can. Dr. Isom, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I agree with Mayor Jones. This is really a holistic approach, and we're working through community violence intervention programs. We're working with the police department, other community stakeholders. There isn't one strategy that is going to get us to the point where we save more lives. It's going to be multiple strategies working in concert. So yes, we're confident that we are doing some of the right things. We are continuing to learn and explore other ways in which we can make adjustments. As Dr. Teferi said, this is a constant sort of process of adjusting over time. And so can we actually predict? No, but we believe that we're working hard doing the right things to have success.
And my last question, talk about future plans to promote and get this program in more communities throughout the city.
Yeah, so we've allocated about $5 million from the American Rescue Plan Act funds to expand community violence intervention initiatives across the city. So that could be more investments in cure violence. It could be more investments in other intervention programs, because we're also, again, working with the White House, with several other municipalities across the country to see what works. We're not a fan of reinventing the wheel. If we know what works in other places, if we know what works locally, we will invest in it and tweak it for our environment and let it roll.
This is Mark Schlinkman at the Post-Dispatch. A question: you have any crime stats you can give us on these catchment areas in terms of violent crime since the program started?
Mark, I can get that information for you. If you want to email me, I'll connect you with the SLMPD. Any further questions?
Yeah, this is Gabriella Vidal with Channel 4. This kind of ties in line to Ryan's question a little bit, but to Mayor Jones, can you speak a little bit to the recent announcement made by the health director for people to stay indoors as often as possible? And we know that in 2020, we saw a little bit about, just kind of the impact that the pandemic had, restrictions, closures. So one, speak to the the recommendation made for people to stay indoors, and are we heading in a direction where we could implement restrictions, and what's your thought on the impact that could have in the community?
Well, we're in a place where we are, COVID, the Omicron variant is more transmissible than other variants. But all along through my administration, I've relied on the advice and counsel of our health experts, of which Dr. Mati/Wyo Davis is one. She is an infectious disease expert, and she has made a strong recommendation that we avoid social gatherings in order to slow the spread, as well as we have to continue getting vaccinated, because that is the number one way to prevent getting some of the more severe side effects of COVID. So, that's what Dr. Mati has advised us to do. We're not in a position to make any more restrictions. However, we still have a mask mandate citywide. So if anybody's watching, we still have a mask mandate. And masks are also one of the best ways to prevent the spread of COVID, and not just any mask. They're also recommending, if you can get your hands on a KN95 or N95 mask, that will be preferable.
Mayor, when you said that you're not in a position to put in any more restrictions, what do you mean? Because of state restrictions on the city's ability to do that, or?
No, we're not an island, Mark. I mean, if we put out any more restrictions, that's going to, it's just not feasible at this time. We're not an island. We have people that come to St. Louis from Illinois and other counties that surround St. Louis. So we still have a mask mandate on indoor spaces. And we will continue to have that mask mandate until things get better with our case positivity rate.
Would there be a point in which you would consider implementing any more restrictions, such as canceling events or limiting capacity size?
I would have to defer to Dr. Mati on that, and she's not on this call.
All right. Thank you all very much. We're at the end of our time. So I appreciate all tuning in. If you do need a recording of this presser, please feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to share it with you. Thank you all very much and have a fantastic day.
You too.
Recording stopped.